Hi everyone, my name is Mariel Ebrahimi. I'm the CEO of DisruptCRE. We are a global community of commercial real estate professionals excited to learn about emerging trends, new technology as it relates to the industry. I'm here in New York City today at the Cohen-Resnick Innovation Lab with Pushpa Gowda, Global Director of Technology Engagement for JLL. She's all the way hanging out with us here from Miami today. Welcome, Pushpa. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. I'm really glad to be in Miami and not New York.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And you recently had the privilege of giving a fantastic talk about hospitality innovation and new technologies and trends impacting that space, which is something I don't get to indulge in chatting about too often. So I'm excited to hear how that went. What were some of the big trends? Where were the impacts that you saw while you just did some learning for this presentation?
Yeah, it was the International Luxury Hotels Association, and they had their annual summit here in Miami. And so they reached out, and JLL is a global commercial real estate services provider and investment management firm. And so they found me, asked me to talk about what are the latest tech and data trends in hotels, and specifically, how does that apply to luxury hotels? Because luxury hotels, as you know, is much more about the human interaction and that high touch. And what we're proposing isn't that it's going away in terms of the high touch experience. What we're saying is that luxury hotels, there's a room for tech and data in addition to the high touch human interaction. And so that's what I spent a couple of minutes talking to them about, especially when we're looking at being bombarded by all the different kinds of technology. How do you know where to dip your foot into, and how do you know where to explore and what your guests will find most valuable? Because that's really intimidating, especially when you're not a Hilton or a Marriott or some big name, right?
Right, and even so, you really need to have somebody dedicated on your team to doing research all day, understanding not only what's out there, but what makes sense as a match for your business and ultimately the problems that you're trying to solve, or maybe, aspects of the experience that you want to enhance. Because, I mean, you and I both know how much technology can bring to the table from an experience standpoint, let alone the underlying operations of a potential asset. So super cool. Let's look at this. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add something there? I'm eager to dive into your investments.
I was just going to say that, yes, this makes a lot of sense based on what I do for a living, but it also makes a lot of sense based on the fact that I travel so much. And so a lot of this is like, what do I want in
You're like, please
I say that you should be investing.
So you're not only an expert for your job, but it's personal for you. I get it. I'm right there with you, by the way.
Like, I told the audience, I was like, I'm your customer, so here's what I would want in an ideal world. And you can see from that graph that's behind you, right? Like, anything that you look at, most of the studies show that 40 to 60% of companies are increasing their technology budget. And this behind you just shows, like, what are the major buckets that people are investing in? And no surprise, it's guest experience rising to the top again and again. And by the way, guest experience even goes to the very, very basic level of make sure your Wi-Fi works. That is the number one complaint. And by the way, again, think about it as you and me, right? Well, that is our number one complaint. If your Wi-Fi stinks, it really doesn't matter what else you can offer. Everything relies on connectivity.
It's unbelievable to think that in almost 2020, we're a couple of weeks away, that we still have to talk about Wi-Fi and connectivity. And I know we'll talk about it all of 2020 as well. And maybe we'll start talking about 5G hopefully a little bit more, but basics. So what are some of the fundamentals within the guest experience that you think are more particular areas of focus or things that people are prioritizing?
Yeah, so, there's so many angles to go with this because obviously technology is part of everything we do, whether it's booking the hotel or taking a feedback survey afterwards. And so, in my opinion, the best bang for anyone's buck is going to be around the check-in process and then in the room, like how do you communicate and how do you get through the check-in once you're in the room and you need to, start settling in or you need room service or you need to understand the property. And then once you're out and about on the property, how are you engaging with the property, right?
So what's the interface?
Taking out some of the other things about online booking, but focusing more once you're on the property and once you're about to arrive, what happens.
Right. Okay. So it's really that interface. It's that ease of communication, getting what you need when you need it, finding information when you need it. Yeah. It's there, it's available. Having a level of service at the touch of your fingers like you would for an Uber or anything else, mobile banking, whatever is, where else we're using on our iPhone. So super cool. Do you want to?
And that's exactly it, by the way.
Yeah.
Is that, in this day and age, we want everything to be streamlined, right?
It has to be.
We want self-service. We want convenience. We also want personalization. And none of those things are possible without technology and data. And that's essentially the main push there. And firms benefit, like companies benefit, hotels benefit, because they learn more about their customers. But, it then it's down to, okay, but there's still so many things that you could do. Right? And so I think you're getting at some of those other slides that just show, like the innovation labs that some of the other places have. So Hilton, they have an innovation lab. Marriott has an innovation lab. Swiss Hotel has an innovation lab. So they're trying out all kinds of things, even like lampshades. It doesn't have to be technology, right? They're testing out everything. But then as it does relate to technology, they're doing partnerships with Samsung, Tesla, IBM, like all these different kinds of things they're testing out. But let them do the work, right?
Yeah, that's what it's about. If they're willing,
this audience.
Definitely not us. But it's interesting, right? Because a few years ago, to think that they would be dedicating whole areas, whole infrastructure of space for an innovation gallery, right? That's really profound. To test things out and just having the mindset of trial and error even is enormous. We don't see too much of that yet in our industry across some of the other asset classes. I think we have to start seeing it more, like it will naturally come. But to have a space dedicated to trying technology, seeing what happens, and then deciding to implement into these massive financial entities, right? These a portfolio, let alone. It has to flow in that way.
Not only that, some of these have come up with whole new brands, like A-Loft hotels out of Marriott. That's like really focused on technology and modern experience. That came out of this. And in some areas, if you're a guest in the area where they have the innovation lab, you can check out stuff and you can test and play, and it's kind of cool to think
that's amazing.
Can be a part of that, right?
That's cool. Well, because you engage your guests in such a personal way. It's like, user testing at its finest. That makes me want to go stay at one of these hotels. Because I want to go play and I want to get my hands dirty in an innovation lab. Or I'm serious. Maybe is that just because we're real estate nerds? It could be, but that is interesting. That's interesting.
Who doesn't want to play? Period.
I agree. Super interesting. So I wanted, we have a lot to talk about, but I want to get in here because I think we talked a little bit off of line about some of this standardization that's going on. I think that's always an interesting word for all of real estate because we have so much that's fragmented and not centralized, which makes things challenging from a technology implementation standpoint. But when you think about a guest experience or the foundation of operations for a hotel portfolio, standardizing across not just one brand but across an industry is powerful. So what did you get into during your presentation as it relates to standardization of any of the aspects that we touched on from areas of investment?
Yeah, and some of this is things that we wouldn't do. So, for example, Marriott Marriott was testing something out with, you know, shower door technology and touch technology, where once your door gets steamed up, you know, more than half of business travelers said they get their best ideas in the shower. And so they created this thing where you can use your finger and do the different kinds of stuff, and then essentially it will email it to you once you're done showering. Now, part of the fun, I don't think it's going to pick up steam, so to speak, because how many people really, I don't know, I don't think that's where we would advise people to say, go spend your money and get a lot of value out of it. Where I do think people get more value is out of an app. Like, plain and simple, if you have an app and that can do the check-in, right? Like, I feel that's becoming very standard, because and that helps on the hotel side too, for operationally. Like, if you do online check-in or do the app check-in, and you can choose your room, but more importantly, you can tell the hotel what time to expect you, right? And so then they know, like, they can manage their staff better. They can even have staff available. All those kinds of things really matter. And you can slide a few ahead to get to that kind of stuff if you want to look at, like, what an app even looks like. I think we have some examples in there.
Oh, this Marriott app.
There you go.
See, I'm a little far.
Yeah, like
Marriott, come over here. Let's see. There we go.
You got a mix of Hilton and Marriott in here, and the Marriott even lets you use your Apple Watch, so like wearable devices. And we're getting to the point where it will even have stuff like, even just you being near your door will open it up. You don't even have to open the app and use your digital key, which is another thing that's becoming more and more standard, is your digital key, right? You don't have to worry about demagnetizing. You can, from a sustainability play, there's less plastic. From a hotel operations play, there's not key card inventory management. Right? Like, this is just where it's at. And not to mention, you can communicate with the hotel. You can send them requests. Like, I asked for firm pillows, because that's, like, my thing, right? And by the way, like, not everything's about technology. We mentioned that. The Swiss Hotel, a bunch of years ago, they initiated a thing that now offers a pillow menu. Like, nothing to do with technology, but that's innovation. You're doing something different. If you're a back sleeper, they have a special pillow. If you want hypoallergenic, you can get soap. It was just pillows.
No, that's fantastic.
It made me love them even more.
Of course it did, because it feels like they care about you. And I bet you they have that almost like, have you ever seen the Warby Parker experience, where you can go through a series of questions to customize glasses to you. They send it to you at home to try on. Like,
yes.
Talk to us about how you sleep. Like, that is very, first of all, very personalized. When else are you giving away that information? But also, it does make you feel cared about as a guest, and it makes you feel like they care about the experience that you're going to have. That's a great, like, first foot in the hotel door, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
And then not to mention, like, if you go to the next one, it even shows, like, even more you can do with the app in terms of, like, mobile requests. And so, you know, again, to go back to the Marriott as an example, a couple of years ago, they implemented where you can start making requests and just going right to these kiosks when you're checking in, just like at the airport.
Right.
And then whether it's before you get to the hotel or when you're checking in or afterwards, you can, like, go back and forth. And the Marriott found, like, 50% of the requests that they were getting were from before people ever even got to the hotel. And so now look at what they're managing, and that's from us, our guest perspective again. How much time does that save us from being on the phone, trying to figure out what options to select, then being put on hold or transferred around?
And I feel like we're probably more willing to give more information about us when it's seamless, it's easy, and we feel like it's contributing to our overall experience. And at the end of the day, when you're traveling, ultimately, your experience in that destination is far outside of the hotel. So the level of technology that any hotel is going to implement is just to make your experience seamless, so that it's not even a thought. So in that same sphere, it's not even a thought when you're entering your personalized information, which is a little bit scary, right? Because you think about, or if you stay at Marriott hotels or whichever one of these chains, like, over time they do accumulate a lot of information about you, but that really means that they are able to tailor your experience, your stay with them in such an elevated way that we really didn't have possible before this really, you know, robust and available technology. I mean, this technology we have today is sophisticated. It's learning about us. It's you know, it's talking to each other to put pieces together to build that color of who we are into a picture and make our experience better and better every time, to market to us all the facets of what go into you know, making this stay ultimately fantastic, memorable, easy.
Yeah, because if you think about what your current or traditional, let me say that, traditional experience is for checking in. You get to the hotel, you stand in line, you have to make some small chit-chat while the agent is figuring out what room, making your keys, right? Like all
hopefully they have your reservation.
As opposed to, nope, I just did everything, and by the way, I used facial recognition, so I didn't even have to use like typing or a whole lot of other stuff. And now I can get on with why I came to stay, or what my purpose is, just like you were talking about. And by the way, just back on the app too, like not only can the hotels get more and more information from us, but we can get more information because concierge can like put together curated experiences. Like if you're interested in this kind of activity, or if you want culinary experiences, here's what they recommend. And you, again, you don't have to stand in line. You don't have to worry about like all the distractions. It's all right there for you. Like you can get so much value and feel so much better about the brand, right? Which is what ultimately matters here for the hotel's perspective.
Yeah, I think that's really where we see AI start to come in and be a powerful aspect of this whole umbrella that we're talking about as it relates to the experience. I mean, and we see it across all asset classes in commercial real estate starting to come into fruition and be more sophisticated, but I think it speaks so well right into hospitality. And again, just because of the amount of visitors these hotels are managing in the course of a year, being able to feel like they still know you, whether you're there for 1 day or 2 weeks, is incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
I would love some of those.
And that's what some of the later stuff gets into too, by the way. Like if you keep going, like talking about artificial intelligence, there's also like voice activated assistants, right? You think about Alexa and Google Home and those kinds of things. Well, there's actually Alexa for hospitality, and there's other vendors doing similar stuff. And so not only can you use an app or a tablet in your room, but now you can use a voice assistant just like you do at home, or with Siri on your phone, or whatever the equivalent is for Android users. But this is the kind of stuff where you could even control temperature and lighting, and over time, we're talking about artificial intelligence and personalization, right? Over time, it could even say, like, I'm here, and I just say, turn down service. And it knows the temperature I want. It knows how I want my shades. It knows the light, right? It knows to set my alarm. It knows to turn down the music or maybe play certain music. How wonderful that you're in a hotel and you just said 2 words and all that happens.
Well, I think where you really see this become impressive is where you go to have that second stay or that third stay after presetting your preferences, and Marriott already knows you. Or, wow, we're picking on Marriott a lot. Like, I guess they're doing cool stuff, but I'm sure this is happening with a lot of, you know, obviously in the hotel industry in general.
Well, the funny thing is I'm a diamond member for Hilton, and so Hilton has a lot of those same things too, not to be slighted. But no, I mean, it is that kind of thing where over time I'm willing to give up that information to Hilton or to the Fairmont or wherever I'm staying because I believe in that, right? And that is, you know, just more and more the way that things go is we're willing to give up some privacy because we know what we're getting back.
Right.
And, you know, the Mandarin Hotel is another example. Where not even just personalization, but when we get back to Wi-Fi and how Wi-Fi is so important, they're going to be implementing next year where if you sign into Wi-Fi in one of their properties, as soon as you pull up into the driveway of another property anywhere in the world, it recognizes your device and automatically connects you to Wi-Fi. That's really slick. And then the hotel can get notified that you've arrived, so they can come out and greet you. So again, we go back to like luxury hotel and high touch. this is where technology can better help you do that and better make you like show love to your customers.
Yeah, and we all want that too. We want the convenience, especially when we're traveling, we're out of our element. I want to walk in and yeah, my favorite song is playing and the temperature is adjusted to my preferences, which is usually the opposite of what the hotel's actually set at. Yeah, absolutely. I want to be able to set the time where I know they're going to come clean the room and all of those aspects. Like, it just makes life easy when you're out of your element. And I love it.
Exactly.
So tell me, Pushpa, tell me about some of these like crazy robots we have going on.
So the robot on the left is the Mandarin Hotel robot, right? I was just at the Waldorf Astoria in Vegas last week, which is a Hilton hotel, and they had the same robot, because, you know, it's the same manufacturer, right?
Okay.
But they had the same robot in their lobby one night. I did not get to play with it, and it was gone the rest of the time. but that's the kind of stuff they're doing, is concierge robots. So again, if it's programmable, frequently asked questions, why can't a robot do that and free up people to do the more value-add stuff, right? And so that same hotel I was talking about, the Sheraton outside of LA, they actually have menus on the robot where you can choose what you want. And like in this example, and you can see like on the right-hand side, they've even, it's almost like a Halloween costume, right? Like they've even made it look like a butler of sorts.
Yeah.
And so you can actually say, like, where is this restaurant? What are the hours of operation? And then it will ask you, do you want me to take you there?
Wow,
and
where can I take you?
The same thing.
No way.
Look at the high touch customer service you're getting.
That is some wayfinding. And you didn't have to add any additional staff. Amazing. That is some impressive wayfinding. And also, like, I can imagine just wanting to, you know, sitting in a public place in the hotel, wanting to order something, but don't know what I want. Maybe I don't end up making it to the restaurant, but this is capturing my need regardless of my own potential, like, you know, navigation failures. What are these, what's going on with these guys? What's this? Oh, hello.
So,
Fly Zoo.
So Alibaba, I don't know if you've heard of this. Alibaba, so they're the e-commerce company out of China, right? They are dipping into, they opened Fly Zoo Hotel a year ago in China, and it has technology like start to finish. Like it has the facial recognition kiosk, and you use facial recognition in the elevator, and you use facial recognition to open your room, and then you have these robots all over the property that are delivering food to your room, delivering towels, they're bartending, they're coming to you in the lobby and delivering food. Like, they're doing whatever is needed. They're probably in the kitchen chopping and doing prep stuff. Because again, why not?
I think,
and this is all, of course, like, we're talking about technology, but, you know, sometimes you want to unplug from everything, and that's why you're going to properties that look like this, right? And that picture behind you of a pool with all the palm trees and a volcano in the background, like, that has nothing to do with technology, right? But in my ideal world, I get, like, that looks amazing. But I can't relax because I'm still looking for a server because I want a glass of water, or I dropped a fork and I need a new one, right?
But how could you leave?
Or I have sunglasses on.
Yeah, I understand.
I have sunglasses on, and a server can't tell if I'm sleeping or awake. Do I want you in my space? Do I not? Are you blocking my sun? Or, you know, like all these things. So wouldn't it be cool if I could scan a barcode on my cabana or on my chair, and then use an app to actually schedule out what I need or when I want it, and including like checking out or signing your bill. If you're like me, which I know you and you are, we're waiting till the last possible second, and we probably already changed our dinner reservations 3 times, and now we have to take a shower and get to the dinner. But I have to wait around to sign out and close out my bill.
Right.
As opposed to, let me fully relax, and when I need to get stuff done, I click a button. There's no 15 minutes of me walking around or, like, being a stalker.
I mean, it's so interesting, right? Because it's almost amazing that we don't have this level of customization from an experience standpoint right now. Like, I do find that when I walk into hotels, because like you, I travel a lot, it's amazing where we are to some of the things that we talk about, which, yeah, maybe this is an ideal world that we're painting, but at the end of the day, doesn't it just make sense that we'd have these things? And frankly, I think like some of these things are a cool factor for sure. Like, oh, hello. Like, is this cool factor? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. But is it also probably saving money and time and helping with efficiency and maybe offering food service later at night than they usually would because it's now available and you don't have to take human hours? And I mean, it really does just make sense. So that's an ideal world, but I don't think it's too far off. I hope not. I really hope not.
I mean, I'm putting it out there in the universe, man. I want it to come. I want it to become standard, you know. And I think the bottom line here and the key takeaway is that technology is becoming more and more helpful and relevant, along with data. And human interaction is still very much needed. And I think it's more a matter of there's room for both, and you just have to find the right balance based on your brand, what's important to you, and what's important to your guests.
Yeah. Is there anything else, any lasting impressions that you would say to maybe your clients, users of hotels, the people who are making these tech decisions?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is see what's already been successful by others and is leaving value, and don't feel like you have to find the new technology or be the one that's experimenting. It's really a matter of get some of the basics in play, and they've already been pretty well proven out here. So I think coming up with a committee, you don't have to have a department, you don't necessarily need a chief innovation officer. Come up with a committee that's not led by IT, that has your business people involved and has all ages involved, quite frankly, and then put together, you know, even just a pilot and move one thing forward. Don't overthink it and don't spend 5 years putting together a long-term strategy. Just get in there and start somewhere.
That's fantastic advice. I think especially with these innovation labs readily available for trial and error. What a beautiful thing we have in, you know, almost 2020, we'll say. So Pushpa, thank you so much for being on and talking us through some of these emerging trends in hospitality. It's always so much fun to talk to you and learn more from you. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to make Pushpa's presentation available so you guys can dig into it. And thank you for watching.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.